Very good evening, everyone. I'm Tarun Nagpal from Global Tech Nexus, and I'd like to welcome each one of you today to Tech Excellence Digital Sessions. This series explores the transformative power of technology and its impact on various industries. Our topic today is the future of AI-enabled enterprise, from automation to hyper-personalization. In this session, we will unlock how we can use AI creatively, exploring the impact and the ethical implications of generative AI. AI is no longer just a tool for automation. It's now shaping how we create, personalize, and innovate. However, with great power comes great responsibility. And today we will be discussing not only the opportunities, but also the challenges, ethical considerations, risks that come along with AI. We are honored to have with us three experts leading AI innovation or automation across different sectors. Before we dive into our discussion, I'd like to invite each one of our panelists. So to start with, we have Edwin Simjaya, who is the head of artificial intelligence and software center at PT Kalbe Farma. And then we have Manisha Singh, who is the head of automation and integration at Allianz Technology. And we also have with us Siddharth Vijay, who is the AVP engineering at Baazi Games. Warm welcome to each one of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. So I would request you to, briefly introduce yourselves. We can maybe start with Edwin. Edwin, if you would like to go first.
Okay, thank you for having me, Tarun. My name is Edwin Simjaya, and I'm the head of Artificial Intelligence and Software Center at Kalbe. As the largest private healthcare company in Southeast Asia, our mission at Kalbe is to advance healthcare through innovative technologies. My role involves leading AI and software initiatives that drive efficiency, innovation, and patient-centric care across our operations.
Great. Thanks for that intro. Next, if we can have Manisha introduce herself quickly.
Hey. Hi, everyone. This is Manisha Singh. I'm an AI executive with strong focus on innovation, passionate about AI and emerging technologies to solve complex challenges and drive impactful change. Currently, I'm working for Allianz Technology as head of automation and integration for IF&IS. And then I strategize and deliver enterprise AI solutions, enabling pillars and functions to integrate AI into their stacks and processes, driving value at scale. And then I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me here, and quite excited to share my insights on how AI is transforming the industry. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Super. Thanks for that brief intro, Manisha. And Siddharth, if you could go next, please.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Siddharth Vijay. I'm working with Baazi Games as AVP Engineering. Baazi Games is basically online gaming portal platform in India. Our biggest vertical is Poker Baazi, which is the online biggest poker platform in India. I look after multiple engineering verticals over here at Baazi, primarily DevOps, cloud, infra, platform, backend, QA, database, etc. Overall, I have close to 12 years of experience in the industry. With Baazi, I've been working from the last 5 years. I keep myself involved in all the latest tech and technologies, which is being cybersecurity, AI, data, DevOps, everything which is going on in the terms right now. With AI, there's so much happening at our place, at our org, and I'm sure with everyone else. So that is why I'm very excited to be here and discussing the same with all of you.
Awesome. Super. Let's get started. So like you all see, we have a diverse panel, each one coming from different industries. Right? So this gives us different insights from different industries. And to get us rolling, we'll maybe start with some basic questions to begin with. Of course, there's a lot of hype around Gen AI. There's a lot of hype around AI itself at large, right? So the first question, Edwin, going out to you. The technology itself is rapidly evolving, and then we have the layer of AI coming on top of it. And then we have generative AI, right? So there's so much happening with technology, with AI, generative AI. What are some of the most exciting advancements that have caught your attention recently, Edwin?
Yeah, thank you, Tarun. The first is the progress of large language model, which are becoming increasingly sophisticated in understanding and generating human-like text. Yeah, especially in healthcare sector, where these models can assist in creating personalized treatment plans and generating medical reports with high accuracy. Another one is the use of AI in drug discovery. Generative models are being leveraged to design new molecules and predict their interactions, significantly accelerating the pace of bringing new drugs to market. And lastly, the integration of AI with multimodal data combining text, image, and structured data. It opened up possibilities for more comprehensive diagnostic tools and also personalized medicine.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Edwin. Manisha, next question coming to you with so much buzz around AI or Gen AI. What, according to you, is the management's perspective on democratization and adoption of generative AI itself?
Sure. So as generative AI democratizes this technology, and bringing this into the power of common people, there's actually, I would say, there's a redistribution of power. With AI being used by common people, with even the costs coming down and no special training required to operate it. But then, this comes with more responsibilities as it democratizes adoption. I would say in 2023, when this was launched, generative AI was launched, it saw so many proof of concepts, experimentation, but 2024 is the year of execution, right? And it's the year of adoption at scale. And already generative AI has matured. And as its adoption is now scaling across organizations, there are various challenges faced by companies, especially I would say around AI economics that revolves primarily around the key elements of cost, risks, and ROI, right? And then, for example, the core elements like, organizations are today struggling on the cost estimation, especially in a comprehensive way as to what framework on these estimates would apply repeatable way across all the use cases, right? And then also Gen AI being a new technology, it also introduces new kind of risk elements which were not there during the traditional AI days, right? And then also there are challenges around the quantification of benefits and the value that this brings, and then how to really measure it with what KPIs, right? I would say, as per Gartner's latest, research, it mentioned that 77% of the generative AI spent, it comes, from everyday AI. So this concept, it means that, solutions like MS Copilot, ChatGPT, coding assistants, all of these, for example, these constitute your everyday AI. And then, but then, these solutions today do not really offer competitive parity. Yeah. And it only offers, parity, but then no competitive advantage. What for organizations to really stand out and really gain that competitive advantage, they would really need to build something on top of these everyday AI. And also, what I would say is, the ROI from these spends, I would say these spends on everyday AI and also internal ops, the benefits are not very clear because, primarily because not everyone is using it. So only 1/3 of people are today using it. And those who are using it are not leveraging all of its features, all of its capabilities, right? And that is why overall carving out the business case becomes very difficult, all right? In fact, I would say, and that's what Gartner also mentions, that there's a cost threat. Costing actually becomes a threat for the success of AI adoption because all these models are quite costly, right? So in fact, it's in a research, they mentioned that by almost 2025, 30% of the projects would be abandoned because of the cost, quality, and the risks associated with this technology, right? And that is why we need to really focus on how can we optimize these costs, how can we identify the value, what are the risk elements and how can those be mitigated. So it really requires an overall comprehensive approach, multidisciplinary approach to address it. Only then, these projects can scale. So I would like to share some best practices for cost optimization here. Maybe where we can actually focus on using and leveraging model gardens. And at the same time, we can also use various techniques around guided prompt designs. Also, there needs to be a check on the consumption. So there needs to be some robust monitoring around these cost consumptions, right? And then also being aware of these trade-offs between model performance, model accuracy, and the cost associated with that will help the leaders to take the right decisions on the consumption versus value. Yeah, there are the techniques called model caching as well, and then also making your data AI ready, and that requires alignment with governance, alignment with your internal policies, also proper data engineering, which is quite critical for AI adoption, and so ensuring that that the key elements on making your data AI ready, around qualification, alignment, and observability are going to play an important role here, right? In fact, it's mentioned that by almost 2030, synthetic data will overshadow the real-time data for AI models, and also, I think if you look at the latest trends on this governance and transparency, there are a lot of new techniques now available to mitigate these risks, right? And so that awareness is equally very, very important. And then after this, I would also like to highlight, amongst the latest technology trends on generative AI, the latest one is also around the use of multi-agentic systems. You all must have heard about it. It's quite popular these days. And these agentic systems, are fantastic in approaching complex problems. And these AI agents act like a bridge between your current AI systems, which are really designed for simple tasks. They have very static behavior, and then they require strong supervision. And then how do you really bridge this gap, from existing AI systems towards futuristic AI systems, which are more complex, which can solve more complex problems, are more autonomous, they have more dynamic behavior. Yeah, and these multi-agentic systems that is the present and also the future. How can you leverage that for your organization in line with your goals? Is very interesting, but of course in line with all the governance, and of course should be complied with. But these are among the latest trends. And overall, as we mature in Gen AI adoption, I would say there's also a mindset shift and culture shift that is also required, where the skills are being recalibrated, and also there's a culture shift altogether in the ways we work. So I think let's start augmenting AI in our routines, because the potential, the benefits are already seen, and now we all are maturing already, in its adoption, and which can greatly add more productivity to all of our goals, I would say.
Super. Thanks for that detailed response, Manisha. Yes, undoubtedly, as we move forward, there are various considerations that the management will have to take in terms of how they want to implement AI, so on and so forth. And the next question I would like to put across to Siddharth, Vijay. How do you think generative AI is being used in your industry? And can you share some examples, like Manisha was speaking, how this can be used in terms of, let's say, AI agent, so on and so forth, right? And there could be so many more use cases within the insurance industry. And you come from a gaming background. So if you can split this into two segments, which one where it can be generic for various other industries, and two where it is specific for your gaming industry. Over to you, Siddharth.
Sure, Tarun. Thank you for that. So, like you yourself mentioned, AI is something which has touched every part of the globe, right? Every industry is being benefited by AI depending upon their respective use cases. And if you specifically ask me about gaming, I mean, gaming is something which can be overturned overnight, even by a smallest automation also, right? So what we have seen over the last 10 years since we have been working, since Baazi has been started working from inception, every single automation, every single aspect of AI, every single aspect of developing a new game has seen a tremendous change in the last couple of decades from technology perspective, right? Now, since AI started coming into the picture and we incorporated AI into our daily routines, I mean, our devs are using AI, our data analysts are using AI, our data scientists are using AI. There are multiple verticals at our place who are somehow incorporating some bit of AI in their everyday operation. And on top of that, the icing of the cake was generative AI. As soon as generative AI came into the picture, everyone from the gaming industry, not just us, I'm talking about the entire industry for that matter, has been very vocal and very, excited about how do we integrate that into our existing platform so that we can make it more communicative and more interactive with the user. Correct? Because a game is as good as it can interact with your user. The platform that you provide, the graphics, the animation, the process, the app is working properly, if there is any lag or not, what sort of enhancements are you doing, if there are any animations that are coming in the game. Now, we specifically come from a RMG sector, which is real money gaming sector. Correct. So people are putting up their money, they're putting some amount, they're betting some amount, then they're playing the game using their own skill sets, and then winning or losing depending upon each and every case. Correct. So there is a lot of data which is coming into the system. Now, leveraging that data and clubbing AI along with that data helps us do a lot of analysis, which in turn eventually helps us understand the user behavior, the user sentiment, and using all those small chunks of data set, we are working hard to make the entire experience better for the user. Correct. Now, generically, if you ask me, almost every organization have their support system. Almost everyone uses chatbot. Correct. You go to any app, I'm sure Manisha must be agreeing with that. They must be having a chatbot support system, correct? And so would be with Edwin, right? Every organization, every product have a customer base who will come and talk to your chatbot. Imagine what has happened ever since we've integrated AI onto our chatbots. The entire customer support team has seen a drastic change in terms of user response, in terms of addressing the queries, in terms of minimizing the response time to the user, the TAT for the user. Correct. So that is one very particular use case which I can specifically mention in terms of a generic implementation. Now, if you specifically ask me from a gaming background, I think with Gen AI coming into the picture, we have seen a drastic implementations in our marketing strategies. Now we know what the user wants, what is something that the user is asking for, demanding for. And with all the correct personalization of the user data, doing sentiment analysis, behavior analysis, feeding the right segment to the user, putting the user in the correct segment, after analyzing the data, has helping us to perform better. And most importantly, the user is getting better options in terms of the gameplay. The same thing is happening in terms of data field for us. There's a lot of data that comes into the system. Like I mentioned, we are a real money gaming platform. So we have to make sure that the system is safe and secure. There cannot be any fraudulent activity which is happening on the platform or with the real money that the user is putting into the system. So there's a lot of fraud analysis that we are doing using AI. Not specifically, I'll talk about Gen AI overall in terms of AI implementations, because Gen AI also is a derivative and a part of it, right? So there's a lot of fraud analysis that we are doing with user data in terms of data interpretation, analyzing the user behavior, analyzing the behavior of the entire cohort that we create for the user set. So, I mean, I can go on with multiple other use cases, but yeah, to sum it up, basically every aspect, every vertical that we have today in our own org is somehow incorporating and using either a small bit or an entire large LLM model up to their own use cases of AI for that matter.
Right, super. That was an interesting response, Siddharth. Thanks for that. Of course, like you rightly mentioned, the use cases are vast and it enhances user experience. It helps you with your marketing strategy and even combat any fraudulent activities that may happen. Right. So yeah, thanks for that response. And like you ended with the risks and the fraudulent activities that AI helps you with. I would now like to move to a segment where we discuss of using AI responsibly. And, yes, responsibility is definitely a key factor, but how we can also use it effectively is something we will cover in this segment. So, Edwin, I would like to again start with you. How would you suggest organizations can strike a balance between leveraging AI for automation and harnessing its power to create hyper-personalized experiences for customers, while also keeping the safety of customers in mind?
Okay. Yes, striking this balance requires a clear understanding of the value that both automation and personalization bring to the table. Automation is crucial for efficiency, especially in large-scale operation like ours in Kalbe, where we manage extensive supply chains and manufacturing processes. However, we must not lose sight for the human element of our patients and customers. By harnessing AI and human genes for hyper-personalization, we can tailor healthcare experience to individual needs, from personalized medicine to custom health recommendations. The key is to use AI to augment human capabilities, not replace them. While our AI is getting smarter, we do upskilling and reskilling our employees. This allows our human experts to focus on more complex strategic decisions that require empathy and deep domain expertise.
Right. So the key takeaways here, I suppose, would be how you can tailor specific customers or patients' requirements with AI, right?
Yes.
Great. So next question I would like to put across to Manisha. As generative AI becomes more integral to business strategies, how should companies decide between building their own AI solution versus purchasing a ready-made platform? And additionally, how does one choose between an open source tool and a proprietary system?
Sure. All right. So what I would say here is, as generative AI matures and becomes very important to business strategy, there's no one size fits all answer to this question as to how would you decide between open or closed systems, or would you like to buy a proprietary vendor tool, or would you make something in house, right? It actually requires organizations and AI leaders to really carefully weigh the specific requirements and the strategic goals of your business, of your organization. What do you want? And then you decide what is the best fit for you, with a balanced consideration and assessment of various dimensions. And these dimensions, what I would say, would include elements like transparency. What is the security and compliance requirements? What is the budget allocated? What are the costs you would like to you would like to invest into AI systems? And then what kind of technical and customer support are you looking for, right? What kind of technical expertise exists in your company, and what would you like to further outsource, right? And how flexible can you be in terms of these solutions? What kind of flexibility are you looking at? What kind of customizations would you like to build on top of these systems? What kind of vendor dependencies could be involved? Scalability and enterprise, at what level would you like to operate your AI systems, right? And then what kind of interoperability are you looking at? Configurations, reliability, maintenance. And once you weigh and assess these dimensions, you can really take a conscious call, is what I would say. To be more specific, for example, let's take the case of deciding between making an in-house custom AI solutions or purchasing or buying a ready-made platform. And in that case, as per the unique needs and goals of your company, if you really require a highly specialized solution that aligns with your specific processes, with your specific internal tooling, and you also have in-house expertise, to also develop such solutions and maintain such solutions, definitely, building something in-house would be preferred. And building something in-house, it also offers you the advantage of greater flexibility. You can add more customizations. You have more control on that solution, right? But then definitely it brings in its own investments, significant investment in terms of time, resources, costs, talent, and all of that. Yeah. But then when you really want to, in case of purchasing a platform, from outside, for example, in that case, it will allow you to, deploy these solutions very quickly, right? And then it will also, it can align with your, if it does not need too much of customizations, and you want ease of use, it user friendly, and then how and something that's very quickly scalable. This, I believe, in that case, purchasing these low-code platforms can give you this kind of advantage, allowing your organization or business to integrate AI without the heavy lift of developing things from scratch, right? And then this was about the in-house versus buying from outside. Also, let's also compare, between open source and closed systems. Again, the decision would depend on the flexibility, cost, and the level of support required, right? As you all are aware that open source systems, they do offer you flexibility, community-driven innovation, and this can be very crucial for companies who want to experiment and they want to customize AI systems. But they do have some drawbacks, but as in they might require I won't really call it drawback, but then yes, they do come with the overhead of building more internal expertise to implement and maintain such solutions, right? And whereas in case of closed or proprietary systems, they come with ready-made support most of the times, and they also bring you out of the box integrations. They are many a times they are low code platforms, easy to adopt and scale, and they provide you more polished user experience. And then these can be very valuable for organizations which prioritize stability, ease of use, ease of adoption, and then such companies who have less technical bandwidth to manage open source complexities, right? And so ultimately, this choice between the options that I mentioned will actually, depend ultimately on your organization goals, your the complexity of your tech stack, the configuration that are set up, and the resources that are available, the speed at which you would need the results, time to market. And what I would say, and in that case, even a hybrid approach can also work, where you can leverage the best of both worlds as well, where you can combine custom in-house solutions and also ready-made platforms can also be effective as well, is what I would say. Yeah.
Thanks for that response, Manisha. But yes, we did get a overall understanding that it's not a one size fits all approach that we can adapt to this, and layer integration through. So thanks for that response, Manisha. I would like to, on the same level, Siddharth, I would like to put this question across to you. What framework or guidelines should a business follow to ensure responsible AI development and deployment?
Sure, Tarun. So, see, I personally feel that any software or any technology is as good as as we want it to be. Correct. Eventually, whatever AI is generating for you, it is basically on the data that you feed to it. Correct. Now the onus is on you. How are you managing and maintaining that data? Because if you ask me from a particular framework, the most important bit and the most important piece comes out of is security. Correct. The data privacy, most importantly. Because nowadays, like I was answering in the previous question also, I mean, we get tons of data. I mean, every single tool and application and services generating TBs of data every single second. Correct. And your AI can help you only with the data that you're feeding to that particular system. Now, let's say if I talk about from our example, so we whenever a user onboards a platform, the user will have to put up his phone number, then his email ID. The user has to do a particular KYC so that we know that this is a genuine user, because we'll have to do monetary transactions for the user, right? So we need to get the KYC done. And then again, the user will have to set up a particular UPI mode to pay, or any credit card, or for that matter. So we have transaction and banking data as well. Now, if you see, if I just simply feed this entire data to my AI system, and then I tell my AI that, hey, don't use the personal information of the users or don't abuse it. So the flaw is at my end. Correct. The onus is on me to make sure that I either mask the data or filter the data before feeding into my AI engine, or somehow make sure that whatever transparency that I'm implementing on that PII data is not going to the AI engine. Right. So this is something which is very important in terms of any implementation you do for that matter. Right. Even if we are generating chatbots and we are feeding AI to the particular chatbot, the user comes and start talking to the chatbot about, you might have seen that there are a lot of users who complain on Twitter and some other platforms about some product service not working, and they directly copy paste the order ID or the merchant ID or their payment ID, things like that. And then the organization and the companies and the product companies comes and tell them that don't disclose it directly over there. You come up to our private channel and then talk to us about this information. So whatever you are putting out in the world on the internet these days can be abused in any manner. Similarly, whatever you're feeding to your AI has to be made sure by your end that you are maintaining the privacy of that data. And also, again, most importantly, if your AI system isn't secure, how can you ensure that your entire infra is secure? how can you ensure that your entire data is secure? Correct. So it is very important to also measure and monitor what is going in and out of your AI engines. How are you setting up your AI engines? Are they safe and secure enough to make sure that nobody can get malicious access to it? Are they safe enough for you to ensure that the system itself is not generating any unsensitive data out of it? Correct. So continuous monitoring of that system is again very important. Another very interesting thing that I would highlight is that, and we all have read about this in the news also, your AI engines and your AI system, generative AI also for that matter, can sometimes get biased, right? And we have seen some examples about that over the internet, right? So maintaining and making sure that the biasness is at the right level is also very important. Now that again, obviously the AI will eventually get smarter as in how it will sensitize the data, but then you should also have to take proper precautions to make sure that the biasness of that AI level is not impacting your business, your users, or your product analytics. Correct. So overall, if you ask me from a framework perspective, like we spoke about privacy, we spoke about security, monitoring the system itself, biasness, and likewise, there could be other options as well. But in terms of summarizing the entire thing, I would say that making sure that your AI system is as good as for you in terms of your business use case should be the first thing that you should focus on.
Right. Great. Thanks for that response, Siddharth. Like you mentioned, it's important to maintain the privacy of data that is being fed into the AI engine, and then monitoring becomes a very important part. So I would now like to move on to a very important segment, since we are already along these lines. We will discuss a little about risk management, the ethical challenges, and various considerations that a company should have when implementing Gen AI or AI itself, right? So I would like to put across this question to Manisha to begin with. As you know, finance segment, it's very important to maintain privacy of customers' data, so on and so forth. So as businesses deploy or implement generative AI, what strategies are essential for ensuring robust risk management while maintaining trust, integrity, and security?
Sure. So, generative AI, as you all know, the very nature of Gen AI is that it's not deterministic. It's not predictive. It's not really designed for 100% accuracy, right? It can be really challenging to explain or provide transparency around the outcomes of Gen AI and how these systems work or operate. And Gen AI, as you all are aware, that it introduces unique new risks which were not there during the traditional AI days, right? And so that is why it requires a different approach, different risk framework, which is, and also revision on our policies, our existing risk policies, compliance and governance requirements. As AI leaders, we must consider the risks that are pertaining to what can go wrong, with these technologies, but also there's a risk of that there's a risk for the organizations on not maximizing the value out of these systems, and also missing out on the capabilities that it offers, right? And so if you focus on coming to the risks on these AI systems, that they bring along with it, there are various elements to it that you can consider. For example, there are risks around model development. There's risk around data governance side of it, data privacy, rights to data access, complexity, right? Also, the underlying infra on which these AI systems currently sit, how robust this infra can be, right? Is it secured against vulnerabilities and such attacks? Also, how these AI systems are being utilized. Are these being used in the right way, and are they performing as per their intended role? Is also a risk. And so, as AI leaders, we need to drive proper oversight on all of these risks across the organization, and covering all the functions and pillars with a multidisciplinary approach that covers the business aspects, technical aspects, and risks together, right? And so. And so, in line with that, you would have come across and heard about the EU AI Act, which has been recently launched. It actually imposes new governance requirements, new compliance requirements on all such organizations who are not only building AI systems but also using AI, for their work. And so, and that is why all these these new policies and laws which are now coming, which are being introduced for AI systems, it actually requires a new approach, to ensure that we are complying with all these policies. And that's why what as organizations, what we need to do is, we need to perform fit gap analysis. We need to assess what we currently have today, and then what needs to be augmented to ensure compliance. And once the gaps are, once we are aware of these gaps, then the next step would be to operationalize the governance part of it, right? To close these gaps, right? And then also, as I mentioned, we also require an overarching risk framework. We can call it, responsible AI program that is overarching across the organization at a global level, covering all use cases, covering pillars, functions, to ensure that all such use cases and the usage ensure is complied with as per the latest laws, as per the latest policies. Also, there are a lot of new tools coming up now in the industry, which already provide you, a lot of templates which are compliant with such EU AI acts and such policies, right? And then now coming to what kind of risks are emerging, and there are various organizations like NIST and such organizations. They have highlighted the key risks that are introduced by generative AI. Some of these, include hallucinations, which is ungrounded output and erroneous outputs, right? Then there's risk of copyright infringement, where web crawlers and data scraping is actually swarming so many websites today, collecting information and ignoring instructions to stop collecting their data to train such large language models. And then there's manipulation and human-like behavior and deepfakes. There's risk for harmful content and harmful code that is generated by AI, which could bring more vulnerabilities, could introduce vulnerabilities in your systems. There is this very famous attack called jailbreaking and prompt injections. Jailbreaking, I'm not sure if you've heard about this, but jailbreaking is a technique where the AI system can be tricked with specific prompts, and it can be made to generate harmful content, right? And it completely bypasses the security of the model. And then we also have prompt injection attacks, where an attacker can actually insert malicious data into the model, again tricking the model to follow the attacker's instructions, right? And there is this latest concept, again a risk highlighted, in a study called art prompting. And art prompting is actually a technique that exploits ASCII art to bypass the safety measures of a large language model. Yeah, and I think this is also, and all these risk elements which I covered, it actually requires new methods and new safety systems to be introduced into the both input and output pipelines to ensure such harmful contents are filtered out and proper risk mitigation can be taken. And then I would like to share some of the best practices and also some solutions on how you can really mitigate these kind of risks, which I mentioned just now. So, for example, you could use safety systems called AI firewalls, which can sit between your model and the user, and it can actually filter such malicious content in the both input channel as well as output channel. They make use of content detection and moderation models to completely filter out such harmful content from getting it passed into the model, or also getting it passed from up to the user. For example, if you've heard about content filtering feature on Azure AI, it's a similar concept, similar safety system that helps in a big way. And then we also have a technique called safety fine-tuning, where your models can be trained on data sets of threats, and then by providing feedbacks in the model, you can actually train the model to adapt itself, to adapt its responses against such prompt injection attacks. Yeah. Then you also have guardrails can be set for the models, where you can enforce policies on the large language model outputs, right? You also have rejection sampling and best of case sampling, where you can actually control the output of the model. For example, a second you can have two models. The second model can be assessing the output and can provide a score to the output of the first model, and this scoring you can actually run it for various outputs. The best score gets selected. Yeah, and then the techniques called watermarking and content verification systems, where you can actually distinguish between content generated from AI and human generated content, right? For data leakage prevention, you can use masking of PII. You can anonymize data. You can also follow minimization principle and reduce the overall attack surface. And then also from a security perspective, you can also apply strict access controls, where you can limit which data can be used for training the model, and also what kind of tools or APIs can be invoked by AI. And I think all of these strategies and solutions can be very, very helpful to really allow us to innovate responsibly.
Great. Thanks for that response, Manisha. Like you rightly said, it requires a comprehensive approach, and this could vary from data filters to access controls to authorization, so on and so forth, right? So the next question, going on to Edwin. Edwin, since you come from the healthcare sector, privacy again becomes very important, right? Especially when it comes to the patient's data, so on and so forth. So, what privacy concerns arise from the usage of generative AI, especially in sensitive sectors like yours, or even let's say finance, right? So, over to you, Edwin.
Yeah, my sector is healthcare. So in my sector, yeah, privacy is a top concern, especially in healthcare where patient information is very sensitive. Like imagine when, yeah, maybe you are running an election, becoming a governor, and somebody suddenly have your data about your sexual transmitted disease that you are currently having right now. That's not very good. Yeah. Also, generative AI can bring risk if we don't have competency and not being mindful when using it, like unknowingly, accidentally, yeah, creating fake data that could still be linked back to real people. That will be, yeah, that will lead to serious problem.
Right.
Yeah. Another challenge is making sure that AI system use data in a way that follows strict rules, like HIPAA in US and GDPR in Europe. Yeah. At Kalbe, we focus on data security by using strong encryption, anonymizing data, regular internal audit for our selective AI system to keep them safe. And also, we increase our core competencies. We have Kalbe Digital University, where we learn from top open course such as Harvard, MIT, Stanford, and Columbia, and etc. It's also important to have clear rules on how AI generated data is managed, who can access it, and how it's used. Yeah, and last, being open with patients and customer about how their data is used by AI is our key to building and keeping their trust.
Right. Thanks for that, Edwin. Like you did mention, it's important to have privacy-related solutions that one should implement within the organization itself. It could be internal audits, so on and so forth, right? And also how important it becomes to maintain the privacy of very personal information of patients. That's again a very important part when it comes to healthcare sector. Thanks for that response, Edwin. And Siddharth, this question coming to you. How can businesses ensure that generative AI systems are not producing, let's say, harmful or inappropriate content, right? Now, they are being fed so much information, personalized information of customers, so on and so forth. How can businesses, deal with such situations where, they avoid AI producing harmful content or inappropriate content with all the personal information they have on customers?
Sure, Tarun. So, as Edwin mentioned, right, for them, healthcare is a very important sector, and data privacy and is very important. Correct. Even though I come from a gaming background, but gaming industry with real money gaming sector has by default a segment of fintech into it, because you are using financial data of the customer, you are storing that financial data, and you are doing financial transactions. So if even if I keep the gaming part aside for a while and just talk about from that transactional data perspective, all that data being used, and not just that, about for the user data also being used, the AI models, and as we were discussing, as Manisha also mentioned, what data it generates is equivalent to what data are you inputting to it, right? And how are you training your AI model? Now, what is going inside and what is coming as an output, how are you training your AI module, has a lot of factors to it. If you specifically ask me, if you want me to name some of them, when the AI is generating the data for you, a human intervention, a constant monitoring and a constant intervention has to be there, so that we make sure that whatever generated content is coming out of it, is not being abusive, is not being unsensitive, is not biased, and it is not corrupt. Correct. So there's a very close and very tightly coupled relation between the generation of data or the AI model and the human intervention, the human aspect of how are you modeling and maintaining that entire your AI engine. Correct. Manisha was talking about content filters. That is one thing where you're feeding the data from content filters. You're also talking about the monitoring part, like we mentioned in the previous question. We are also talking about at what stages, what sort of generation is happening. Now, let's say if your AI chatbot is communicating with a user, and let's say if the user starts giving it abusive input, there could be a possibility tomorrow your AI engine will start training that data, using that data, and it might start giving you abusive content as an output. Correct. So that is where you have to put up your filters. That is how you have to stop the modeling there and there itself. Whatever generation is coming out of it, you filter that generation, you sensitize that particular data, and then you refeed it into your model, so that eventually your model comes up to a bit where it starts understanding that this is some sort of data which I have to ignore. This doesn't come into my parse set that I have to feed using that entire data. Correct. So likewise, there are multiple things that can be done while at the feeding stage of the data, and also while you're training the module itself. When a specific engine is being trained. So I remember I developed a chatbot 5-6 years back, and it was at a very initial stage using. So I was using Python and doing my own research and R&D work. So I generated a very small system which used to tell me the weather conditions of a particular location based on its geolocation, or using the IP address, where are you located, and the current weather condition. At that very stage, after doing some bits and pieces with that data, I could use that data in telling me that this is very it's going to be very hard summer for you, or the winter is going to be very cold winter for you, and there are other unsensitive answers that started coming out of it. Why? Because whatever I was feeding into it, and my friends were using that data as a testing scenario to test it out the genuinity, and whatever input was going into it, it was eventually using that data to send out the incorrect output. Right. So just giving a small example, quoting an example over here. So as both Edwin and Manisha mentioned, filtering the data, making sure that you are constantly monitoring what is feeding and what is coming out of it, and a constant human intervention just to keep a check on it, a range check on it, is very important in terms of making sure your AI is not abusing anything.
Right. Great, Siddharth. It does sum up very well. The human intervention becomes a very important aspect when it comes to controlling of data, how we feed data into the AI engine, and then ensuring the data input is well sanitized on regular intervals. Thanks for that, Siddharth. We are, coming to the close of the session as we've already run out of time. But let me put across a small closing question. Maybe you all can just take a minute to respond to this. What is the most important mindset shift that leaders need to make towards implementation of AI? So, Edwin, if you would like to go first.
Thank you, Tarun. Yeah, for me, the most critical mindset shift for a leader is to view AI not just a tool for automation, but a strategic enabler for innovation and growth. Yeah, AI should be seen as a partner that complements human capabilities rather than a replacement. Leaders should encourage a culture of continuous learning and flexibility where AI is a part of decision making and help discover new possibilities. Yeah. And lastly, Leaders also need to focus on using AI ethically, making sure it's applied responsibly and with a clear awareness of its effect on society.
Great. Thank you, Edwin. Manisha, you next, if we can keep it short.
Yeah, sure. So I think I would say here that we need to adopt a more democratized approach where we can enable more and more people to use it. I would say across that is the best way to scale the adoption, but at the same time have very strong governance framework in place that's overarching on all functions to ensure we all innovate responsibly. Is what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, Manisha. Siddharth, your last take on this?
Sure. I completely agree with Edwin and Manisha both, and I'll give a very different answer because I have a very different take for this particular question. When AI was at boom, and then when Gen AI came, there was a strong buzz in the market that a lot of people will lose their job, right? And with AI coming into the picture, there won't be need for people to sit and work on repetitive tasks or manual tasks, and automation will eat up their jobs. And in fact, last week only I was at a conference where we were discussing about how chatbots with enabled with AI has been helping the customers and the customer support team. And there was a gentleman who asked a question that if now AI chatbots are there, then what is the use of setting up an entire customer support team? You can just fire them or cut them out right there and there itself. But what I personally feel is that it is not about treating AI as a competition or treating AI as in something which is cutting out people from their job. It is more about, like both of these guys mentioned, helping you out in terms of do better, perform better, take your business to a new scale, give your users a better experience. I mean, those people who are sitting at the customer support desk can then leverage their time to learn something better. And you can use those people in some different use case, in a different business case, if AI can perform the chatbot job better. And like we all were discussing in this entire discussion, and the last quote was also the same thing, that human intervention will always be necessary. You cannot leave your customer just with a chatbot. What if the customer starts talking in a different language? Your AI will not be able to take that, correct? But a human will be able to take that. So I would say that not just with the leadership mindset, it is something for everyone out there, that AI is there for us to help us to perform better, so that it makes our life easy, makes the business grow better to a new scale. And most importantly, for people like us who are techies and who are in the domain of this entire tech innovation, we have developed AI, right? So it is better for us to use that as a helping hand and take the entire community ahead.
Right. That was an interesting response, Siddharth. To be honest, the response that you just gave can, start a new discussion altogether. So this itself will require a good 1 hour to discuss the challenge of be it job losses, or be it how humans and AI can work hand in hand, so on and so forth. So yeah, I think that was a great way to end this session. So as we wrap up this insightful discussion, I'd like to highlight a few key takeaways today. We explored the various roles of AI, from driving automation to enabling hyper-personalization, and various touch points on ethical challenges, the risks that are associated with it. All in all, yes, there will be a lot of developments happening in the near future, be it on the creative front, or be it on the ethical or risk management front, right? So, like we are aware, AI is still at its nascent stages, I would say, and there's so much more to come in the coming years. So, I guess we will reconnect for another round of discussion on AI itself, and see where we are headed with it in the future. So, thank you once again to each and every one of you, Edwin, Siddharth, Manisha. Thanks a lot for joining us today. I would also like to thank our audience for tuning in today. We hope this session left you with some great perspective on AI, the potential transformation it can bring into the enterprise, and also how you deal with various risks and ethical considerations. So thanks a lot for joining us for today's episode of Tech Excellence Digital Sessions. Thank you once again, and goodbye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.